Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another Minecraft video, and in this one we're going to take a look at something incredibly special. For those of you who don't watch my Hermitcraft series, I recently built a missile silo in my Batcave. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Everything has opened up. Joking me. Now, after the massive success of this project, I thought it would be a cool idea to recreate the missile silo but make it bigger and better. So this right here is what I've come up with. As you can see up at the top, we have got a new design for the slime block piston door, which can actually be tiled next to each other to create massive 5 wide openings. Now, I think this is perfect for the launching of missiles, so I've got a few dotted around underneath here, and we're going to flick this lever and watch as they take flight. Now, this really is something spectacular. I've only recently got into flying machines, but these things are absolutely amazing. So there we go, our missile silo has been opened, our missiles have been launched, and hopefully, well, they don't end up anywhere where there's people. That would be bad. To the moon! Now, I will be showing you how to build these little fellas, but most importantly, this little fella, all in today's video, and I'm going to be doing it in 2 separate parts, so hopefully it isn't too confusing, because these 2 things, surprisingly enough, are actually incredibly simple. This right here is one module of our missile silo door, and as you can see, it's just a triple piston extender with some slime blocks attached at the front, and all we have to do is make those slime blocks knit in together. But first, we actually have to build the triple piston extender. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to place a block in right here, and that right there is going to be our input. Then we're going to run redstone across like this, a repeater set to 2 ticks running into this block right here. Then we're going to have redstone making its way right the way around the back, and then a repeater set to 4 ticks with blocks in like this, and a repeater set to 2 ticks right there, and redstone dust on top of that block. Now it is time to start placing in our sticky pistons. We're going to have 2 sticky pistons, a sticky piston there, and then a 2x2 area of slime blocks with blocks making their way around the outside like that. And believe it or not, that is everything. Crazy, isn't it? Now what I'd suggest you do is you head down under this block right here with the lever, and you place in a couple blocks, a redstone torch facing straight into that block, take out your lever, and this area right here is now going to be your input. So I would suggest running a repeater into that thing, and now we are just going to build this thing a couple more times. I'm going to say 4 more times. So now you should have something that looks just a little bit like this. We've got a bunch of repeaters running into a bunch of blocks which are powering all of these systems. So believe it or not, the only thing that you have to do now is run a line of blocks connecting up all of these things, and as you should see, we will now have ourselves a connected circuit. Now, one thing that I quite like to do is to add in a little bit of a delay between each one of them, just because I think it makes things look a little bit more dramatic on the opening sequence as it sort of travels across the silo, gradually opening up. And with that, we now have one side completely done. We flick the lever, you can see everything retracts. This one goes first, and then gradually it makes its way down the line, which I think looks fantastic. And of course, the same thing goes for the closing as well. So now we are going to start work on the other side. And believe it or not, yeah, it's exactly the same. You just have to replicate what you've done right here, flip it over onto the other side, and make them face the other ones. Now, as you may be able to notice, we have got a 2 block wide area right here, and we have got a 2 block wide gap right here, which means that the ones on the other side, you're going to need to make this little tooth at the end here fit nicely into this area here. Now, what I would suggest is closing up the entire thing just like this, which of course will take a little bit of time, and you need to remember that the opening is going to be 5 blocks wide. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like this. Now, this is where the teeth are going to go. So this is going to be the tip of the tooth, and then we're going to have our blocks going around like this, and then in the center we're going to have our slime blocks. So your piston stuff is going to be going in this area right here. Start work on it. And after a couple minutes of building, this is what we've got. 2 sets of modules on either side, and now I've connected it up using some redstone going through the middle. So both of these are now connected. If we flick this lever, you can see that they begin to knit together, and they create like a teeth pattern that looks absolutely amazing. So now, of course, it begins to start raining, but I'm going to completely ignore that because we need to chuck in the immovable objects around the top. So we're going to place all of these across like this, and of course this is a 5 wide area, and that should make its way around like that, which will cover up this gap right here, because We don't want any gaps in our door area. We don't want anyone just falling into the missile silo, okay? That's what we're trying to avoid here. So just place in all of those, and then once again, cover up this gap right here. And if you want to, you can also break all of the blocks that aren't exactly necessary on both sides. And there we go. That is the silo door all done and dusted. And it looks absolutely amazing, if I do say myself. Now obviously no missile silo is complete without a whole bunch of missiles. So these little things right here are designs that I created in a couple minutes just before starting recording this video that I think look fairly cool. But if you want to go for something more lethal, aka uses TNT, then feel free to do that. But I'm going to show you guys how to build this one. So all you need to do is place in a regular piston facing upwards. We're going to have a slime block and a redstone block on the side of that slime block right there with a regular piston facing upwards. Then we're going to place in an immovable object to stop this piston from extending if and when it gets updated. Then we're going to be placing in a slime block up above that obsidian right there with a redstone power block right there. And then we're going to be taking those slime blocks out around like this and placing in a sticky piston facing downwards, which is what is going to be retracting this slime right here, which is making its way back into the side of that piston. So that basically is our flying machine. All we need now is an observer, which will power that sticky piston, and that will pretty much do the trick. So there is all of the motor systems. That is the machine all done and dusted. So now we can start adding in some of the decoration. I personally like to add these things up at the top. I think they look pretty cool. But also we can fill in a few extra blocks as well. So for example, we can place in some blocks around here, some glass down at the bottom, and just make the design look a tiny bit more full, because right now it is looking like an empty cage. Once all of that is done, we can remove this obsidian right here, and that means that this thing is now activated, and if it were to receive a block update, it will take off. Now, the way that I'm causing the block updates is using this redstone line down at the bottom here. So remember, right at the very beginning, when I opened up the doors, the missiles automatically launched. That's because this redstone actually causes an update to the pistons right here, which launch all of our missiles. Now the way that I've done that is I've quite simply hooked up a redstone line into a rising edge monostable circuit out of the input into all of our silo doors, which means that we get a quick pulse at the start of the opening, which then is sent through a bit of a delay to stop them from firing straight into the opening doors, and then that just goes through like that, causing an update to all of these pistons. So if you flick this lever here, you can see that all of the doors will close up, and these things will be held behind, just like that. And then when we flick the lever once again, the doors will open, and in theory, all of them should launch all in order. So let's take a look. We're going to go into F1 mode so I can get myself a nasty screenshot, and let's see, that's the one that we recently built, and there are the 3 different designs popping up out of the floor. So we have ourselves a fully working missile silo opening entrance, and we also have ourselves a bunch of missiles taking off onto the horizon. I personally think this thing is absolutely awesome. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.